What's up, Cradle fans? So I'm recording this video from a different tool. I'm using my iPhone because my webcam sucks and I didn't like the way it looked, and so I'm using these AirPods now for the mic. Sorry, I guess I could hook up that mic, but whatever. Today I'm going to talk about DragonCon, and I'm going to recap DragonCon for those of you who weren't there and feel like you missed out, just to kind of give you a feel for how the meetup went, who all was there, etc. So the first thing, the meetup was on Saturday, and the announcement for the book cover happened a couple hours before the meetup. So everybody got to find out about the cover like all at the same time. Then when the meetup happened, there was probably 20-ish or so people that showed up, maybe more altogether. But at one time, there was probably around 20 people there, I would assume. Last year, there's 4 or 5, and then a couple other authors like Dakota Kraut showed up, and we all had a good time. Last year, the event was taken, like it was outside. This year, there's too many people, so it came inside, which was really cool to see the fandom grow at like a kind of localized event like that. Now, DragonCon, if you don't know what it is, it's a fan-organized conference that started over 30 years ago. It's kind of like Comic-Con, but it only happens in Atlanta. And it only happens in Atlanta on Labor Day weekend, which that weekend there's always a big NCAA football game. So this past weekend, on Saturday, there were 85,000 people in downtown Atlanta for DragonCon. And there was over 50,000 people downtown for the Alabama-Duke football game. So it was pandemonium. It was really crazy. So fortunately, the meetup spot that Will had everyone at was a little bit away from the craziness. So you could get there, chill, have a good time. So that was cool. In addition to the 20 people, this year Will also had some of his team members there, which is really cool to see Will with his team. Everybody was wearing Cradle shirts. There was some swag, like some hats and stuff like that. And very quickly, Will just sat down, started chatting with everybody, and opened himself up to questions. You know, it was actually interesting. I got an IM or a YouTube comment or a Reddit instant message or whatever, where somebody asked, is Will truly as nice as he seems? Well, I don't really know what you've looked at, but he's probably nicer in person because you can actually see that it's genuine and authentic. For example, there were a couple uber ARC nerds there that wanted to ask 1,000 questions, but he made sure that everyone got a chance to ask a question, especially those that might be a little more reserved or arrived late and didn't feel like jumping into the conversation. Anytime someone new showed up, he said, hey. Like he called them out and said, hey, what's up? Thanks for coming. So if you are hesitant to go to a meetup that he's at, I'd say don't worry about that. If you want a question answered that you might not be able to get asked anywhere else, and you're at a place where he's hosting a meetup, like an official meetup, go check it out. It's worth it. As far as spoilers or crazy new stuff, there wasn't really any of that this year. And honestly, I think if there was, it probably would stay close-lipped, but there wasn't really. The questions being asked had a lot to do with how Will came up with the Willverse, some jokes around Will not wanting to call the Willverse. He talked about his writing methodology, some of the tools that he uses for naming characters, which is really helpful for me because I think personally I can write fiction as far as like writing a combat scene or writing a normal scene, but I'm terrible at naming characters for whatever reason. And so he talked about how he named people in Ghostwater, which is really cool. So he took the characters that he knew that he needed, like Arrogant Prince for Akira Harmony, or I don't know, crazy bloodlust chick for, you know, Sean Mayer or whatever her name was. He didn't use that example, but he used like Evil Prince and talked about how he writes the story using Evil Prince or Arrogant Prince, knowing that later he'll have to come back and actually name them. But because he has given them a role in the story, you can then flesh out the characters from there. I thought that was really cool. Helped me a lot. You nerds probably don't care. I will tell you one or two of the questions that I asked because they have to do with videos that I've made in the past. I asked him, one, how old was the Aurelius monarch, which we now know is named Tiberian Aurelius, if you haven't seen Will's most updated blog post. Tiberian Aurelius was younger than Seshethna, so my theories about the Aurelius monarch being older and potentially being Ethan's father don't really have any weight to them. And then I also asked him about the whole Ethan being brought back and forth between the two empires. And there might be a little bit of some new information in this answer. I don't know because I don't remember, but Ethan pretty much came through the portals. But what makes the timeline different is that the portal that he came through after the big calamity battle, where he fell through, I don't know, but the way that Will answered the question made it seem like that one was not a scheduled portal opening and was not on the right timetable. And just for reasons that we'll find out later, it opened either early or late or whatever. And so the timetable was thrown off. So I couldn't backtrack the timetable to assume that Ethan was brought across the world by a monarch father to hide away and then brought back through at age 7 via a portal. Apparently that's not what happened. He just came through the portals normally. And it just so happened that he spent most of his childhood in the Black Flame City. Also, point of contention, a lot of you think that childhood lasts until you're 18, and I don't know what's wrong with me, but I don't consider the teenage years to be childhood for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. Also, for those of you who are watching this on the day it launches, the Cradle Book 7 Uncrowned, you can pre-order it tomorrow. Nobody knows when the launch date is, but I'm assuming we find out tomorrow. But maybe we don't, because Will's a troll. But I hope we do. But you can pre-order it tomorrow. And I recommend all of you pre-order it. My limited knowledge of the way that Amazon works is that all pre-orders get lumped into the first day sales. And so if you're wanting to get like a bestseller list outside of Amazon, having a ton of sales on the first day is really helpful. But I know that Underlord crushed on its first day because of all the pre-orders, but it didn't. I don't know if it made like a New York Times bestseller list. I don't think so. So who knows what those crazy clowns over at the New York Times are doing. But pre-ordering helps a lot. So that's all I got today. New format, new audio. I won't continue with this audio, but I may continue with this video if you all like it better. Let me know in the comments. Thank you all for interacting so frequently. And to all of those of you that I met at the meetup that are now subscribers, thank you so much. Y'all are the real MVPs. It was cool meeting you all, and I look forward to nerding out about Cradle after Uncrown comes out. But anyway, that's all I got. Have a great week, everyone, and buy the book tomorrow.